On today's episode of The Happy House, learn how to make homework easier. We'll talk about study tips for all kinds of kids. Then, we're upcycling. We're taking old frames and making them new again with just a little paint. But they're not going to be frames anymore. Finally, learn about a new form of exercise for kids and adults. You will not want to miss today's episode of The Happy House. Coming up next. Well, school is back in session, which means homework is coming home, and we need to work with kids on their study skills and how to actually accomplish getting all of this homework done. So I'm here today with Karen Emerson, who is a reading specialist and has her master's in experiential education and has been teaching for over 20 years. And she is going to share some of her insight and knowledge on the best ways to help kids study. Thanks for coming, Karen.
You're welcome.
So first of all, let's talk about setting kids up for studying. We're going to talk a little bit about preparing them, and then I want to talk about the physical spaces that they study as well. I know that when I'm at home with the kids and they come home after school, it's my first instinct to say, let's just get your homework done. Like, let's get this out of the way. And because I want to check it off my list, but they're often not ready. So talk to me about the best way to approach homework with kids.
Well, the first thing you want to think about is what they need at the time. And often right when you get home from school, you just need a little bit of downtime. Mm-hmm. A lot of kids do. They just need a snack, some quiet time. But other kids, they need to get out and run around and be crazy people for a while in order to get to that place where they can be calm.
Okay.
But right after school is often not the best place for homework just because they are transitioning and you need to make a space where they can go from school to home to a place where they're having fun and they're comfortable and they're unconditionally loved, and it's a different space than school, and not go straight into the schoolwork. And that can be 10 minutes, and that can be a half an hour, and that can be an hour. It depends on your overall schedule and depends on your kids.
And how long it takes them to recharge,
That's
True.
True.
That's basically what you're maybe talking about.
If something big happened at school, they may need to process that before they can start thinking about homework. And until that's taken care of, you're not going to be able to learn new things. Right. And so then you set them up to learn under stress, in which case they're not going to learn anyway.
That makes a lot of sense. So I always wonder also, how involved should I be with homework? Because my kids like me sitting right there with them. I feel like, how do I back away, and how does that independence grow so they're basically then checking in with me? Or is that not the right thing to do? What is the right approach?
I think really homework is the kids' responsibility even when they're real young. And parents are there to help them. You're their savior. You're the one in their corner that's always going to be on their side. Okay. But what that means is they come home and they say, Mom, my teacher makes me read for 20 minutes every day, and I'm supposed to mark it down, and I'm supposed to pay attention to the clock, and I hate that. My goal would be for kids to ask you for help. Mom, here's my spelling words. What can be our plan? So you're not forcing them to do spelling.
Right.
You're helping them with their plan.
Okay.
And ideally, reward them, and I don't want to say reward them like, trinkets and treats.
No, I understand.
But praise them for as much independence as they can muster. Because if you can say, all right, 5 minutes, I want you to, do this, or, however you're going to work on these words, come back and I'll test you.
Okay.
That's awesome.
Yes.
And as much independence as they can get. And now some kids don't want any part of their parents when they're doing homework.
Right.
And their parents are more like, no, I need in because they're messing it up.
We want to avoid.
But that's where you have to say, you know what? I'm going to trust you to do your homework. If you're failing in school, if your teacher says, oh, no, that's not right, then we need to come up with another plan.
Okay.
But your first instinct really needs to trust your child to do it. And if they fail on a homework assignment now, that's okay. It's a safe time to fail.
A lot of times homework is not a joyful thing. I mean, it can be a struggle between parents and kiddos. So any tips on that?
A lot of times parents have to realize that a teacher has 26, 30 kids in a classroom. When they give homework, they're giving the same thing to all kids. Now, in real life, all kids shouldn't have the same homework.
Okay.
And I say that as a teacher who gives the same homework to all kids, because that's the reality of teaching. Okay. But as a parent, you can say, all right, so you have to read for 20 minutes a day. And I know reading gives you headaches right now, and reading, this and that. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. How about if I read for 10 and you read for 10, and it'll be 20 total.
Okay.
Because as a teacher, I'd much rather a kid read a quality 10 minutes than 20 minutes not really doing anything,
Sure.
which is what happens when you force a kid to sit down and read for 20 minutes.
Talk to me a little bit about study spaces and where they should be. We're actually in a bedroom right now, and we've got a space set up here. And talk to me about who this would work really well for.
So this is going to work really well for, especially if you talk about introverts, extroverts. Introverts, they recharge by being on their own.
Yes.
They love people, but they get exhausted. So they need to be alone in their bedroom, shut the door, and be by themselves sometimes. And studying's a great time to do that. And I love that all of the materials are right there. That's really key. And I like that there is good lighting. That's really key. And it's pleasant to look at, and it's organized. There's places for everything. And so, and there's resource materials right there. I like all those things about this study space. But if they don't sit at the desk, that's okay. I don't think my youngest has ever sat at a desk. I let her do it. It succeeded, so okay.
How about a public study space, or like the dining room table or something like that? What's the best way to set that up, and who works best down there?
And that's going to be, for example, my oldest daughter. She needs to be with me. Even when she was silently reading on her own, I could be reading my own thing, but I had to be reading next to her.
Okay.
We were doing totally different things, but as long as she's physically next to me, she just always needs to be around people.
Okay.
And for her, she will always study in a public spot. She'll study at the kitchen table. She'll study in the wherever everyone else is.
Okay.
And she'll go through her cards. She'll ask for help sometimes, but usually she's on her own, but she has to be in that public spot.
Okay.
And a lot of times it's about how distractible you are.
Sure.
The ADD and ADHD are thrown around quite a lot these days.
Yes.
But there's different ways to handle things like that. Some kids need more stimulation in order to focus.
Okay.
Which is why you take ADHD kids who just struggled through school, which my oldest brother is, but he's now a firefighter and he's an emergency room nurse, and that's exactly where he belongs, because in an emergency, that's exactly who you want there.
Sure.
Someone with that laser focus when everything is going crazy, where other people are panicking. And so some kids are going to actually study better when there's that commotion around them.
Okay.
And I think the hard part for us parents is they're our kids. They should have the same preferences we do.
Sure.
And I think as adults we think that too.
Yes.
If I needed quiet to read, everybody needs a quiet to read.
Okay.
And so we kind of overgeneralize that, and
Yes.
we forget to realize, okay, I actually see that she's getting her homework done. Then I guess that's working for her.
Okay.
And to let that go.
Karen, thank you so much for being with us today. This is very helpful, and I hope to see you again on our show, because you have so much knowledge and so much great information. So
Great.
thank you.
Thank you.
To see this full interview and learn more about the things Karen and I discussed, log on to our website. We'll be right back. I'm at Mama's Happi today, one of my very favorite upcycled shops, and I'm with Amanda Fissick, the owner of Mama's Happi. I know what upcycling means. I mean, but it's kind of a newer term. What does it mean to you?
Upcycling is more about taking something as it is and making it into something new.
It's really not only responsible, but resourceful and economical.
It really is, and especially in today's economy, it is a wonderful way to take things that people are getting rid of and give them a new life. Okay. It's also a great way when you're looking at furnishing your home to be able to use things that aren't made from scratch, that they're old.
Well, today we are going to do some projects with repurposing some frames, I think, right?
We are.
And then we're going to use chalk paint. So chalk paint, I just recently learned about chalk paint. It actually has changed my life. I love it. So
I'm glad you're not alone in that.
What is chalk paint specifically?
So the name chalk paint came from just the chalky finish that it has. The beauty of it is you don't have to do any sanding or priming or preparation before you paint. With other paints you would always have to do that.
Okay.
So it makes the project itself so much easier. You get to skip over all the difficult, not fun parts.
Right.
So that's what we love about it.
Okay.
And the chalky finish gives a very predictable old world look to it.
Is it hard to apply?
It is not at all hard to apply.
Good, because
You'll be just fine.
Okay. All right. So we have got some frames or some pieces of art here.
These are just some samples of things you might find at garage sales. This would be the kind of thing people would pass over at a garage sale because they don't like the picture. Whereas we immediately jump to the frame.
Okay.
So I'm actually going to have you give it a try so you can see just how easy it is.
Okay.
And I picked a super fun color, Florence, which has been a hot color this
I love
summer.
that color.
Many times people want to add a pop of color in their home, but they don't want to do it on something large.
Okay.
And the paint is a little bit hard to find.
Are there other brands of chalk paints?
Well, since coming to the States, there have been some knockoffs. What I love about hers is that because it's been around for 25 years, the durability has been tried and tested.
Okay.
So I like to stick with a product that has history to it.
I love this color, and it really is easy to apply.
It is, and what I love about this too, see here where the paint you didn't actually get it in all those nooks and crannies? I like that because the gold is peeping through.
It gives it sort of a patina or
It
something
does.
like that. Okay.
The beauty of this is that we can just use baby wipes to wipe it up or a damp paper towel. It's a water-based paint.
Wow.
And so I rarely put on paint clothes. I rarely cover the surface that I'm using on. It's that easy.
That is awesome.
It is amazing.
So once I paint this, and then what's my next step?
Okay, so once the paint dries, and it does dry very quickly, I won't make you wait for that today, but
Okay.
so here is an example of a frame I painted earlier that has been painted, but we are going to apply the wax to it. Now what the wax will do is actually seals the paint in.
And this does feel chalky. You're right. Yes.
So the wax will protect it. It's like the equivalent of putting polyurethane over, but so much easier to work with.
Okay.
Now this is Annie Sloan's wax brush.
Okay.
You would not need to buy that. You can put it on with a clean cloth.
Now, we talked earlier about the paint not getting into the crevices and how it looks, and that's what's happened here.
Exactly.
But what about the wax? Do I have to be really careful to try to get that in every little nook and cranny?
On something like a picture frame, no, because this isn't going to be handled and used the way maybe a table would. If you're doing a piece of furniture like your dining room table, your kitchen cabinets, there you'd want to make sure that you get it fully covered. So now you can feel where there was no wax on, it feels a little chalky. Then you can feel where you've put the wax on and it feels in some ways a little greasy.
Yep.
So then I would just come with a clean cloth and just give it a couple of wipes. And so you can feel the difference once you've gotten that excess wax off. So the paint is actually absorbing the wax, and then whatever is feeling sticky or tacky to you, that's what's sitting on top and needs to be wiped off.
So now, once this is finished, I've got something I can obviously use as a frame if I want to. What else? I know you've got some things up your sleeve.
So we have all kind of ideas. Just take some rope, and you can see on the back of the frame where we've just screwed it in.
Yeah.
So then you can see where we've just added some small clothespins, and you could use this to hold pictures, you could use it to hold notes.
I like the spaciness of it too, how it's not like a cork board behind or something. All right, perfect. I love this idea.
Another easy idea is chicken wire. And again, we love, as you mentioned, being able to see what's behind here. So you can see on the back, we'll flip that around, and you can buy chicken wire at any, Fleet Farm, any of those types of stores, and then we just used a staple gun.
Is it pretty reasonable, chicken wire?
Yes, it's very reasonable,
Okay.
especially at a place like Fleet Farm.
Well, thank you so much for talking with me.
Yes.
These are such great ideas, and I can't wait to get home and get started with my
I'm
painting.
glad.
So, to learn more about the projects we've done today and more about Mama's Happi, visit our website. I was walking by the lake the other day and saw a group of kids doing something I really had never even seen before. It basically looked like tightrope walking to me, and I just had to figure out exactly what was going on and learn more about it. So I did a little research and am here with an expert on what is called, I now know, slacklining. So Emilio Torres from Slackers is with me today, and we are going to learn all about slacklining. Tell me about it. How did it start?
Slackline actually developed over 30 years ago in Yosemite National Park in California, where mountain climbers at night, when they couldn't climb, would take their climbing webbing, rig it between trees, and start slacklining. And what we've done is we've just developed a 2-inch version of that that can be used in the backyard. Everybody can slackline.
Okay.
Just rig it up between a couple trees and you're good to go.
Everybody can slackline?
That's right, everybody can do it.
Okay. Is it hard? I mean, and is it dangerous, actually?
It's actually not dangerous at all because the product itself isn't moving.
Okay.
You're the one moving on the product. Bicycles and skateboards, all that's, those types of recreational activities, the equipment is moving with you. But slackline is stable. It doesn't actually go anywhere.
Interesting.
So if you're going to start to fall off the line, just step off.
Wow. Wow, it's not dangerous. Who does slackline? Who picks it up, or is it good for any other kind of sports?
It's a great cross trainer. So Olympians like Lindsey Vonn and Bodie Miller's, world-class skiers use slacklining for cross training. A lot of soccer teams use slacklining now for cross training, and now even places like the University of Colorado football team, their freshman class coming in, their football players are all cross-training with slacklining.
Wow. Well, so you say it's a great cross trainer. What are the benefits of slacklining?
It's got amazing core strength capability, so you can really build up your core. For little kids, it's great for focus. It teaches them how to focus on what they're doing. My son, when he started slacklining at about the age 10, he was bouncing around. He could never gain focus on anything. But then as soon as he started slacklining, it taught him how to focus on what he was doing.
That is really great. That's so great. I mean, what does it cost even to get started with slacklining?
Actually, Slackline is pretty affordable. It's about $80 retail.
Okay.
And you can pick it up at, a lot of local retailers. But it's a great backyard adventure. You can set a few up in your backyard and have an entire obstacle course set up, and all of the neighborhood will end up in your backyard.
Okay, and how high off the ground is it?
Typically knee height.
Okay.
If the smallest child that's using the line, set it up at their knee height and you're good to go.
All right. Oh my gosh. Well, I am excited to learn more about it. I
Great.
hear you brought some slackliners with
We
you
did.
today.
We have a couple set up outside.
I might even try it myself.
We would love for you to get up on the
Okay.
line.
All right. Well, let's go check it out.
Great.
All right, we're out here today, Emilio. We've got Chandler, who's never slacklined before, Duncan, who's done a little bit of it, and Abby, who is actually a tightrope walker, and then, of course, Joey, who is a professional slackliner, basically. I would actually start, except for I don't know if I can do it first. I want to see these guys go first. So maybe tell Chandler exactly what he should do to learn how to slackline.
Chandler, if we can bring you over here to the slack rack, we can have you try to slackline.
All right, let's check this out.
And what you want to do is you want to keep your feet straight on the line, and you keep your hands above your head. You can keep your shoes on, and keep your hands above your head, and then look down at the end of the line. And just stand on it and just try to take a couple steps.
Okay.
And if you want to come over, you can try it as well.
Oh, Chandler.
Here you go. And this is what happens when kids start trying it. They just keep going over and over until they get it.
Until they get it? How is it, Chandler? You gonna try it again after Duncan's done?
Yep.
Okay.
And what's great about slacklining is once kids start, they get addicted to it, and they just keep trying it and trying it.
Okay.
And then over here we have a bigger line with
Okay.
a teaching line above head.
All right, let's check that out. So you put this, when you say teaching line, you've got this up so that I can actually, or somebody, not me,
Right.
but they could hold on.
The teaching line is basically a secondary line that goes overhead, so that if you're on the line and you start to lose balance, you just touch it. You don't really grab on it or
Okay.
hang on it. You just touch it
Tap.
to regain that balance.
Okay, all right. Who should we try on this line?
Want to try it out?
You want to try it, Duncan? Wow. That's awesome. Chandler, what do you think? Do you want to give this one a try after Duncan's done? And then I think we should see Abby. And then I wonder, does Joey know any tricks for the slack line?
He could do a couple tricks on the big line.
Okay, all right, that'll be fun to see too. All right, hop up there, Chandler, let's see. Is it a little too tall?
Why don't
Here.
you grab onto my shoulder and go ahead and step up there. There you go.
That is really hard.
There you go. Okay.
Now, we're between two trees here.
Mm-hmm.
Do you need two trees? And what if you don't have two trees?
Two solid objects.
Okay,
Trees, fence posts, deck posting, playground equipment, anything
Okay.
solid that's in the ground that you can hook up to is the best option.
Okay.
If you have nothing, then there is ways to dig holes and stuff. You can find that on our website.
okay, perfect. Good to know. Oh, look at that. It's coming together. All right, let's see what Abby can do. Hop off.
Abby's an old pro since she's been
Yeah.
tightrope walking for a while. And you can see what Abby's doing. She's got really good position on the line. Her hands are way above her head.
Okay.
And that line is up there in case she starts to lose balance. You can just touch the line.
Nice. It looks fun.
It's a lot of fun. So
Is
I
it?
think you should try it.
Really?
Yeah.
Do you think I'm ready for this?
I
Really?
think so.
Okay. All right. Oh,
And again, if you want to just use my shoulder.
okay. Well, this is going to be. Oh.
And again, so that line's up there just like that, yeah? So if you feel, just start walking.
Holy smokes. This is very hard.
There you go.
All right.
It does take time, just like anything else. You know, the first time you got on a bicycle, you didn't know how to ride it.
Right.
So you had to learn how to ride it.
Yeah.
Slacklining is the same thing.
Yeah, that's fun. I would do that again. I think I should get one of these for my house.
It's a great core workout.
Yeah.
It's a lot of fun. Once you start doing it, like I said, it's got an addictive quality to it. You have to keep doing it until you're good at it.
Okay. I want to see some tricks. I want to see what
Well,
somebody
we'll go
can
over
do.
to see what Joey can do on
All
the
right.
line.
Perfect. Joey, I want to see how this is done. I heard you have a couple tricks you can pull out for us. Oh my gosh, I can't wait to see this.
So what Joey does in slacklining, there are all different types of elements of the sport of slacklining.
Okay.
Joey does a lot of static poses, which is kind of like yoga on a
Oh,
slackline.
sure.
Which is a great fitness concept. But what he's doing here is just a butt bounce to feet to get up to his
Wow.
feet. And then he can start walking. And then typically what he'll do is he'll go into a static pose. And this looks somewhat easy, but it's extremely difficult.
That actually doesn't look easy to me at all.
Even just standing on there with one foot to gain your
Yeah.
balance is pretty hard to do. But Joey's been slacklining for about 3 years now.
Okay.
We've had a line set up in our backyard that whole time, and he keeps learning new
Okay.
tricks and he keeps developing the sport.
This is so interesting. Thank you so much for coming and
Thanks for
seeing
having
us
us.
today. I'm gonna be able to do that in like a week, I think.
We're going to come back and see it.
If you want to learn more about slacklining or where to actually buy a slackline, visit our website. And we know some of you out there must already be slackliners. Take a picture and send it to us. We want to see what you can do. I'm at Creative Kids Stuff with today's toy pick. Today's toy pick is all about toddlers. I've got two really great toys with me today. One will help children learn to explore science and also is great for imaginative play. The other teaches them about moods and colors and is also great for memory. Let's start with my first microscope. This is a wooden toy that allows kids to start experimenting with science. There are 3 different lenses. One is a red view lens that they can put on top. The other is a magnifier. And then we've got this fun like Bugs View lens that will allow them, that kind of pixelates everything that's under the microscope. It comes with 3 different discs that can be interchanged, and each disc has a graphic image and a nature image on the other side. So there's 6 different things for kids to look at. Not only will this start them thinking about science, but it's great for pretend play. So this toy has a lot of play value because it serves 2 purposes. Next is my Mood Memo, which is an open-ended game that can be played in a variety of different ways. It can function as a traditional memory game where you turn the discs upside down and mix them up at the table and players take turns trying to find matches. It can also be used for color matching. You can take the disc and find the color on the wheel that it matches. But most importantly, my Mood Memo is actually a way for toddlers to learn how to express feelings that they might not traditionally know the word for. So a lot of times they know that they're mad or sad or happy, but we've got things on here like surprised, amazed, ashamed, and so they begin to learn more about the scope of their emotions. For more information on today's toy picks and to register to win today's toy picks, visit our website.